how am I doing, me, you know. They were concerned about me, my emotional state with all the regressions. And also, of main interest here was that this investigator had scheduled an MRI for me and 5 other people.
Right.
And they did not want me to get the MRI.
Right.
And they were very adamant about that. And they said, do not get the MRI. We will take care of it. We will take care of everything. It won't happen. And I said, all right. But anyway, meanwhile, this guy next to me is trying to do this exam on me or something. And he kept pushing me to lay down. And I said, well, I want to hear what they're saying about me. And he goes, stop being so nosy. You know. And I laughed. And he was very nervous. Like he was rushed for time. And he was nervous about being there. I could feel it. And I felt that he was new at what he was doing. And unsure of himself even. And he took this rod, it was a gold-colored rod, and he ran it up and down my body. And when he did, it made a funny, like it was turning or something. But it just looked like a simple gold rod.
What shape? Like a pencil?
A little bigger than a pencil. I would say, boy, the best way I can describe it. A little bigger than a drumstick. You know, like you know, the people that drum, you know. A little bit thicker, about the diameter. The length of it, I would have to say, would be about 6 to 8 inches.
Well, did it look like made of gold or just golden color?
Golden color. I couldn't analyze it, the material.
Did it look heavy?
I don't know. It's deceiving because objects that I've picked up later looked heavy and they were light as a feather. You know.
How from did you get it? Like from air or from some?
He had it with him.
He came with it. So one hand was always busy carrying that golden magic.
No, I didn't. I didn't notice it until because your eyes are focused on them, on their faces for the communication. You're drawn to their face, so I couldn't even tell you what they were wearing, but I knew that it was all the same. I knew they had, because I remember the thing that struck me was I remember they had some sort of uniform that they were all wearing the same thing.
Normally people don't mention them carrying any tools, so that's like...
I've always seen them carrying this several times.
One tool, this golden...
It's like yes.
Tool.
Yeah, and it does serve several purposes. Well, anyway, this ran up down my body, and then they took and they placed it behind my head, and right about the bone, the lower part of the skull, right there. And I saw a flash, and then I don't remember anything. But I do remember a conversation, and I don't know how to fit it in, but I remember this. They told me that the regressions were wrong, and that they wanted to prove it to me. And they said not to believe any of the regressions because they were concerned about my mental health, that the regressions were not good, that they were putting false memories, and I thought, well, this is kind of weird. And it kind of made sense because I felt like the regressions weren't real. I thought I was pleasing the hypnotist, you know. And so the proof of that was when I went for the regression, and the investigator asked me when I was last visited. It was, I was way off, and the visit was way off. And then when I got to the car and closed the door, all the memories came back, and I knew it was just a few days ago. So nothing was right during the regression. And I know it was not a false memory. It wasn't a screen memory. I was given a lot of information. I don't remember the actual face-to-face conversation, but during that I asked about it was like, unless it was like an instantaneous transfer of information. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because they can do that.
Yep.
They're so advanced. And I remember them talking about the reason I remember them when they're with me some of the times is because they have you work off a different area of your brain, and a lot of the stuff that you're learning with them is stored there to be used later. And so when you're with them, they can just switch you right over to this other area of your brain where you have all these memories of them, and you're calm and collected, and you know everything that's going on, and you have all this information. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty crazy. You know, I don't know anything about the brain or anything like that, but
Let me interrupt you. I just thought maybe it would be useful for you. A hypothesis, of course, it's not proven. I read it in a book, one of my favorite, The Field by Lynn McTaggart. Somewhere in the middle, closer to the end, she just mentioned the hypothesis of someone else that brain might be storing the memory elsewhere. So the brain is not the memory stick of a computer. It's not a storage, not a book. It's just a tool to write and read on some other, whatever, dimension, place, space, zero-point field, which we don't know what it is. But then it would explain how they just allow your brain to access something else elsewhere, not inside your brain, if it is just a tool for reading and writing. So maybe that would help you to cope with that imperfection, I guess.
well, years later, actually a couple of years back, I figured out what it was. The use for the implant, and what they made, I heard a lot of experiencers when I've read about the fear experience, because you do have this intense fear at times, and you feel like you're just going to explode. It's so powerful. You are brought to the brink of fear that you can't even describe. And they would say to the experiences, the fear is necessary. Well, yes, and it didn't make sense. So I was watching a Jesse Ventura program about a Manchurian Candidate, and I'm not trying to scare anybody here, but what they do is governments will, if they want to make a Manchurian Candidate, and this was all researched, they take and they torture, but they use physical pain, and they bring the mind to this edge of where the mind will split. Okay, and they develop another memory storage that the first memory isn't aware of, that like say me consciously, I'm not aware of this other area in my brain that's storing all this other stuff. And when they do it, they also use an implant, and they control